It's always a delight to have you join us on your must-watch, must-listen-to program on independent television and radio, Politics Today, reaching you live with yours sincerely, Sonny Duke Okosun. In today's program, our focus is on the challenge of governance and aspirations for 2023. Like they say, for the average politician, he thinks of the next election. The climax of it all within a week was the defection, celebrated defection of the governor of Ebonyi State to the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress. And some say this is usually how things go in this country. In a sense, governance seems to have been abandoned, particularly on the day that the mega rally took place that attracted the who is who from across the country. Whereas there are burgeoning problem that needs urgent attention. That's our major talking point on the program today. Well, hopefully, and thank God that, in the days to come, the security situation in Edo State will improve. We've seen officers coming to the state to assess the situation and to help to firm up the security structure. And some results are coming in with some miscreants, some criminals caught in the act. There was a particular video I saw, a young man with an AK-47 who apparently, in a sense, didn't even know what to do with the gun. In terms of handling and manipulation, somebody by the side was telling him what to do, and then a few days later, the guy was caught, shot. I don't know if he's still alive because of the injuries that he sustained. And just yesterday was a report that a popular transport company, all the inhabitants or all the occupants of the bus traveling were kidnapped, and even the chairman of Eastern Central Local Government was also not spared on the ever-challenging Benin-Ekpoma-Auchi Expressway. Okay, I won't be doing the talking alone. I have with me in the studio a professor of history and international studies, Professor Benson Osadolo, is also a reverend gentleman. Thank you for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure. God bless you all. Good morning.
We also have with us the Executive Director, Foundation for Good Governance and Social Change, Comrade Austin Osakwe. Comrade, it's always a delight to have you here.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers and listeners on radio.
Okay, Prof, let me begin with you. Give us your historical perspectives on why the average politician always look forward to the next election apparently at the detriment of governance and impacting the lives of the people who elected them.
Well, let me begin by saying that what has defined that kind of interest among politicians is their personal interest. Let us look at the Fourth Republic. From 1999 up to today, that's about 21 years. When politics started with the Fourth Republic, the main political parties were just PDP, the Alliance for Democracy, as well as the All People's Party, that's, and the later ANPP joined them. We didn't have this kind of cross-carpeting, defective from one party to another, as we have it now, but they were there. They were there. And so you had serious politicians who believed that their own thinking, not necessarily ideology, they are thinking about how to use the state to intervene in the society must be this attitude, the Alliance for Democracy. So in a sense, like socialist progressive attitude. Then you have the PDP. From the very beginning, looking at their manifesto, it's like a capitalist, yet a welfarist attitude towards governance. You look at APP and ANPP that came in between them, it was just neither here nor there, but they had a focus. But towards the end of the first 4 years of the Fourth Republic, politicians realized that they had to ally with one another. In other words, this didn't fit us, that fits us. They have to move. But in moving, this was determined by several other factors. One, threats. Some realized that at the next election, a candidate that is more capable may come and contest the election with that candidate, and so we want to shift ground to a party where he will get the same ticket, apparently pay for it, and then continue to be in politics. So that was one factor. Then the second factor again has to do with politics in Nigeria as a huge investment. Politicians just believe that, look, this is the country where in politics, overnight, you can become a millionaire without having to stress yourself to go into business, into the private sector, and work your axe to cracking point. In politics, it's just a little bit of investment, and the returns are in millions. In some cases, even in billions. Even individuals, even non-state actors celebrating billions. We have seen it in these states. And so that kind of investment for them is such that whenever elections are coming, they are forever calculating what will be their interest. With this particular election, also give an opportunity for him to return to the National Assembly, to return to the government house, to return to the State Assembly, to return to local government, to return to the local legislators. So all of these calculations, they give an idea of what they will do. So if we come to the most recent, which is the defection of the governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, he's been doing well from the reports we have read. He's an engineer. He's been doing well, and we have had very commendable reports about his administration in terms of good governance. That I will speak on later. But over the years, the calculation has been Obasanjo came from the west. General Adwa came from the north, but he didn't succeed. He didn't complete his term. Jonathan came from south. And now Buhari is from the north. And so where will the presidency come from in 2023? There are suggestions that for now it should go to the east. Who are those strong politicians that have done well, that can be trusted with the responsibility of the presidency of this country to lead the people of the nation?
That's a big question.
Yes.
Okay, let me put it there. Comrade, this is always about negotiations and to what extent will I benefit from it? That's why Pop said a while ago that it's always about personal interest. But let's look at the challenges confronting the country right now. Would you say those challenges are suffering from adequate attention on account of this politics of 2023 that is seen so far away?
Well, I think more than ever before, it has become very glaring now that what has kept Nigeria backward over time is the insistence on politicking for politicking's sake. Yes, a political party is an amalgam of individuals who want to capture power, but capture power for the good of the people. So between one election and the other, we have not sufficiently interrogated what the processes should be. If you have one election in 2019, you have another one in 2023, there is an unspoken understanding, a kind of social contract between those who sought mandates and got, and those who gave them such a mandate. That between this date and this date, 4 years, what are the things that we expect to happen? It is the insufficient interrogation of that process that has led us to where we are. Because nature abhors a vacuum. So what we find is that politicians occupy that space with politicking and more politicking. So as soon as one election ends, politicians are thinking of the next one. There are permutations as to who the cap fits, who holds the key. There are permutations as to which region should capture this big office. I feel that if this country must begin to develop, to grow, to occupy a space among the Committee of Nations, this area needs to be sufficiently interrogated. And I'll tell you this. Once an election has been concluded, and there is an occupant of government house, whether at the local government, state, or federal level, what should automatically begin is a series of engagements between those who are in power and those for whose sake they sought power. This engagement must be total, must be comprehensive, and must be realistic. So, for instance, there were campaigns carried out. Based on these campaigns and the promises therefrom, the people voted. What do you do with these promises? Who has taken note of these promises? What are you putting in place to give effect to these promises?
Okay.
Look, the APC brought in Buhari, somehow convinced Nigerians, even though there are many who believe that the result, that what we have today in office is not a reflection of the people's will. But that's another matter entirely, because whether we like it or not, there is a man who occupies Aso Rock.
Yeah.
Between May, when he ascended power, and now, what has he done to fulfill the promises that were made? For instance, what promise was made concerning job creation? How do we know how many jobs have been created? What did he say about inflation control? If we go to the market in the morning today and go back in the evening, is the price the same or it has changed? What has he promised about roads? And I'll give you an example. Later we're talking about insecurity. One of the reasons why the Benin, Ekmama, Auchi, Okene, Abuja road has become what it is that it is in a sorry state. Look, when accidents occur on a road, it is not witches and wizards that cause the accidents. The roads are bad. Go to that road. It's a complete write-off. These persons who come out of the bush and attack those who are driving won't do it on a road that is smooth, where vehicles are moving fast on highways. These roads are terrible. So they move out, they shoot sporadically, and then people are caught in the web. I mentioned that as an example of the kind of promises that were made concerning roads in this country. Now, how come that every budget, every development plan where it exists, captures these highways, especially the Benin, Ekmama, Auchi, or Kenya, Abuja road? It captures it. On that road alone, we have about at least 3 contractors, 3 big companies working on that road, and there is nothing happening. I applied that road, at least up to the Ekmama axis, and I see that they are working on 2 meters, and they are spending 3 months in the same location. So the point I'm making is this: between one election and another round of elections, what does government do? This has not been sufficiently interrogated. Government has not been held to account for what it promised to do within those 4 years. Because we have not held government to account, what politicians simply do is that as soon as results are announced, they go to court. The final court, the final arbiter, the Supreme Court, gives final decision. They start another round of politicking to capture power. So this is the bane of Nigeria. Okay. This is why we haven't developed. And going forward, look, in this country, we need to realize that there is no distinction, no clear distinction between those who are in power today and those who have not gotten there. What has simply happened is a realization that all of us cannot be in power at the same time. So we have taken of our own sovereignty and equipped a few of us to go and manage our common patrimony on our behalf. It is the lack of understanding of this one that makes certain persons regard themselves as supermen. Look at Edo State, for instance. Elections have been held. The governor is there, the deputy is there, and then they made one appointment, the SSG. And the man announces that no other appointment will happen till February. That has removed tension, because by now, as soon as you appointed the SSG, the next thing will have been politicians scampering jostling for positions.
Yeah.
And the man says, look, nothing will happen until first week of February. So let us settle down. The man is talking about training a civil service, equipping them to be in place before you bring in politicians to work with these trained professionals. For me, that's the way to go.
Okay.
So essentially, the campaign, is it the campaign now? They have so many names for it now.
The
of Governor Umahi must be seen for what it is. A quest to satisfy unbridled ambition. Nothing else. In fact, they claim that the decamping is the easiest way for the Eastern Nigeria to capture power. It's neither here nor there, because the party that brought him to power, the PDP, has not zoned, has not met to say we are zoning this position to this area or to the other area, which would now have necessitated his anger to say, oh, they are taking it away from us.
Yeah.
Since we cannot realize it on this platform, let's go over there. I think that it is a quest to realize unbridled ambition. Okay. And that's what the average Nigerian politician is about.
Thank you very much, Comrade Austin Osakwe. Let me come to Prof. We've also seen that in the whole of this conversation, the issue of INEC chairmanship is still there. Recently, we heard that the presidency has nominated him again for a second term, and someone is there in acting capacity. And from some of investigations reports that are coming in, that was influenced by some powerful blocks in government, as it were, even though due process was not followed in that nomination. As we speak, is yet to be screened by the Senate for that confirmation to be made. What do you make of this as a challenge as we move towards 2023? Because you look at someone like Governor David Umahi saying that he feels that the Southeast has been shortchanged. That's part of the reason why he is moving to the ruling party, to be able to get something from them when the time comes. Just like Comrade Austin Osakwe said, I'm not sure any of the political party has already made a decision on where their candidate will come from in 2023.
Well, before I answer that question, I just want to make a point concerning our conversation so far. Politics and government, they are two different things. And we mix them up in this country. Politics, politicians come together, they discuss the problems of society and how the state can intervene. Government, you have elected the officials, they now form government. Theirs is how to conduct with institutions, how to use or measure their public institutions, how to conduct public affairs with public resources. In which case, you are looking at governance from first the capacity to deliver and the outcomes of such engagements to deliver, whether they are able to meet the development agenda. I will return to that later. Concerning the INEC thing, I think many Nigerians are not understanding the underground currents concerning the appointment or reappointment of the INEC chairman. Number one, people sit down and think of what happens in the next 4 years, in the next 5 years. Sitting down is not just, how do we capture power? What instruments are available to us to realize that we are able to capture power? People have different concepts of power. But if you have power, what exactly do we do with it? Take this APC government. They're supposed to be all progressive Congress. Look at all the federal appointments, all federal institutions, and look at all those who occupy them. They are from a particular part of the country. That is their concept of power. And people from other parts of the country who do not understand them, they just follow like zombies, as if they are playing the same politics. They are not. These people sat down. They look at it. This man was there for them. If they remove him, definitely because he's from the north, and before him was somebody else from the north, definitely the next ANEC chairman will come from the south. If the ANEC chairman comes from the south, maybe from the southwest or south-south or the southeast, it may be a problem for them to actualize their concept of power in 2023, how to grab power again. And so the best bet is let him remain there for a second term. And it took them by surprise that to be able to get all of these things happen at the same time, they have to follow the rule of law and due process. But that was not followed because it took them by surprise. Yeah. But to horribly capture INEC, I'm saying I'm using the word capture, to capture INEC and all their facilities for election, it was hurriedly announced as a reappointment for another term of 5 years. Well, as it were, his term ended. And what did he do? He announced to the world that the Senate has not actually screened him. His term is over. He's handing over to the next highest ranking officer in INEC office in Abuja. And he left the stage. The other one is acting. It has never been so in the history of Nigeria. People are aware that weeks, months before this time, nominations are made. Yeah. And then the screening process will take place. Then, of course, as the other one is leaving, the other one is coming in. But it has not been so this time. That tells you the kind of game that some persons are playing with the politics of this country. They believe that INEC that is there can be used to actualize the struggle for power that they need in 2023. You see, like the persons who say in this country, other politicians from the south, southwest, south, they are looking they don't even know what's happening. Okay, when it's time, okay, this is easy, but it's too late.
All right, I'd like you to build on more. Is that what's happening in the South? Is there some sort of convergence of ideology in the North to divide the South so they don't have a formidable force in the build-up to 2023?
You see, one of the most unfortunate misconceptions in the South is the continued claim that those of us in the South somehow have intellectual superiority over our northern compatriots, that we are better at them at anything. It's a misconception. And look, I have told my friends, for instance, in my fourth year in the secondary school, I had the opportunity of representing my state, then Bender State, in the national quiz competition. And in the final, we met students of Government College Camp. It was from then I can tell you that all of these misconceptions that those people don't know anything, they are categories. That's our greatest undoing. They may not have the largest number of professors, but if you are talking of professors, some of the very best brains come from there. So they are organized. And when you talk of politics, they are teachers of politics. They will teach us politics any day. The average Southerner believes that if you have money, power will come. Ask Abiola, wherever he is now. The average Northerner, on the other hand, believes that once you have power, the money will come with it. It's like, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of that things will come with it. So for the North, power is the ultimate aphrodisiac. They crave it, they romance it, they pursue it, and they appropriate it for themselves. It's all about power. So what they do is that they place power here, and then they play games to create very ephemeral distinctions of South-South, Southeast, Southwest, and then some of us here are saying, oh, there is division between Northwest, Northeast, North Central. It's a facade. When it comes to the craving for power, there is a monolithic North. Make no mistake about it. Religion will not separate them. Tribal, ethnic differences will not separate them. They know that once they get the power, it's a big enough cake. And And that's why they hold on to it. Haven't you listened to the gathering of northern intellectuals explain how that the oil in Nigeria belongs to the north? How they dubiously put science on its head to explain the difference between onshore, offshore, and they measure the distance and say, look, therefore the oil from the north is the residue we have here. It's actually, the oil in Nigeria is the residue we have here in the south. It's actually a northern commodity. What are they after? The 13% derivation share that the south is sharing. They want it and they will get it. So when we underrate, look, for me, I wouldn't bother about north and south ordinarily if we had a responsible Nigerian as president who sees Nigeria, the entire Nigeria, as his constituency, who will be dispassionate in making appointments that will reflect the Nigerianness of our nation. But if appointments remind us that we have several nations within Nigeria that can go their separate ways, then there is a question mark. And I have mentioned this again and again, and we are only beginning to just see it, and we have not seen the full ramifications yet. I am all for a big Nigeria. I'm for a large Nigeria, because the larger we are, the more respected in the Committee of Nations we will be. Population is a factor in international politics. Resources is a factor. The military is a factor, and so on. Yeah. Now, our bigness can either be a plus or a minus. It will be a plus if we are able to fashion unity out of the bigness and have harmony. But if we, in an attempt to put together disparate parts that can never be together, and in so doing, we have things like federal character, which is not federal anyway. We have things like educationally disadvantaged states. And I've mentioned it again. I'm not going to get weary of mentioning it. That up till now, it has not been corrected. We still have two students. They may be friends. One is from Edo. The other one is from Zamfara. They may attend the same federal school. You call the Unity School. So you are telling them we are brothers, we are united, we are all the same Nigeria. When it comes to writing exams to go into the university, out of 400, my young man Osaro from Edo scores 320 over 400. And they say try again next year, because your 320 is not good enough, because there is something called a cutoff mark. His friend, that they have been together, they have seen themselves not as one from Zamfara, one from Edo, but Nigerians, writes the same exam. He scores 180 over 400. He gets a congratulatory message. He is given admission, and his state government follows up with a scholarship. So Osaro from Edo is likely to ask himself, he doesn't need anybody reminding him or prodding him. He's likely to ask himself, are we truly one Nigeria? Yeah. If very clearly, as Prof mentioned, and it's there in the public domain, it's there for us to see appointments into the arms, for instance, the armed forces, defense, army, navy, air force. If you say, well, it's because of security, those people know security more than us, fine. What of NNPC, NPDC, IDSL? Why do we have NPDC in Benin? And consistently, you have to bring somebody from thousands of kilometers away from the other side to come and be GM here, to come and be MD here. And he has, with a biro, with a signature, he can award a contract of up to $2 million in one fell swoop. Who is he likely to award it to? And yet, the commodity over which this company presides is here. Okay, what of educational institutions? When you look at all of this, because this is dispensing, whether we like it or not, we can attempt to sermonize, to proselytize, and become holier than that. The reality that stares us in the face, which is what brought about this whole NSAS thing, is that it is increasingly difficult for some of us who have children to continue to convince them that there is something worth fighting for in Nigeria. That's the reality. If we don't talk about it today, our children will talk about it
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So what the young people are doing is that they are asking questions. There were certain things that we were ready to accept that our children are not willing to accept because they are seeing the reality. When we tell them, they know we lie, even though we didn't intend to lie. The reality is that we are lying. So essentially, which brings us back to what Prof said about the difference between politics and government. And then by implication, governance. Unfortunately, that distinction does not exist in Nigeria. Government is subsumed within the political establishment. Politics is the superstructure. He who controls politics controls government and uses government to satisfy that political dimension in power sharing and power mongering. That today is the present reality. So when we go back to what government is doing over time, and it brings me back to this. What are we doing about electricity in this country? Power. What are we doing about energy? What are we doing about job creation? How much have we been able to engender vibrancy in the private sector to help the private sector to employ more? All right?
Yeah.
How much, what are we doing about food production, food security? And I was telling somebody, I said, for instance, only one local government in Edo State can actually supply Nigeria, the whole of Nigeria, palm oil. That's the reality. One local government in Edo State can supply the palm oil needs of Nigeria. But I'm sure you read a few days ago that Nigeria was spending billions
Importing palm oil.
importing palm oil. Palm oil.
NIFO is here.
Are you following the reality, sir?
Come on.
And then we help Niger. We do roads to Niger.
Yeah.
We help Niger to get oil, bring refinery.
Yes.
And I read a few days ago, I told you read it too.
Yes.
We want to start importing fuel from Niger.
Because the quantity that they are producing, they only need about 5 million barrels.
So they have excess.
So,
But we are not refining. We are selling everything we have. So we sell fish. The people who buy the fish from us bring sardine back to us.
and geisha.
So the fish we sell is 15 naira. They use that same fish and sell a refined one to us for 3,000 naira.
Let me just take a
What
break.
have we done, sir, about the value of, you know that pounds, as I this few days ago,
Over 600.
620, sir. And you know, it's climbing to 600. In fact, somebody told me that he has a few pounds and that he's waiting for the people to become 1,000. They have a few pounds. He's waiting for that. The thing is going in Nigeria, it doesn't come down. It goes up. So he's waiting for it to be 1,000.
Let me take a short break now. It's still Politics Today on independent television and radio. Shortly, our studio line will be open so you can call and be part of the conversation. Well, politics of 2023 and its impact on governance is the focus of our discussion on the show this lovely Saturday morning. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you in a moment.
Christmas don't come on! I can't be tired of celebrating Jesus.
Why should you? Is it tired of blessing you, protecting and defending you?
Oh, I don't know, say you know.
I know wella.
Celebrate, Jesus, celebrate.
That reminds me, you hear say ITV Radio they organize party to celebrate Baba Jesus?
No be Christmas Igbadun. I don't hear. In fact, I don't start to the practice the steps where I won't give Baba Jesus that day.
You sure say your steps go beat my own?
No worry, we gonna meet each other for the
I just the one that say which can party, yeah. Everything yakba, everything there.
Don't let them tell you how it happen, oh, because give to Yakpata for various competitions with star prize of Tolo, cartoon characters, artists, and DJ to supply music we go move you day.
Almost go be. We just having fun. We won't carry on.
Father of the Day, Bishop Dr. Okudigie Osayuki Charles, General Overseer, Anointed Brethren Church International Incorporated, and Administrator, SETA International School, GRA, Benin City.
Date
Friday, 25th December 2020. Time 11 a.m. Select. Venue ITV Radio Corporate Office, Glass House, Airport Road, Benin City. Gate fee 500 naira per head.
people will put hand for our back for this program. Now, KC Devices Phone Shop for sales of phone, laptop, CCTV cameras, inverter, fitness smartwatch, accessories and gadgets. Number 68, Airport Road, opposite FIROS before Akenzwa Junction, Shop 68, Bob Iswa Complex, opposite Oba Market, Benin City, and 106, Okpe Road, beside Delta Line, Igbuya Shopping Complex, Sapele, Delta State. Telephone now 0803 6408 268.
Amorege Cyril, CEO, The Prince Builders and Estate Developers Limited, currently selling the Prince Builders Estate Phase 2, Obage Community at Sapele Road Bypass, Phase 3 at Obanyato Community, off Airport Road, Phase 4, Imasabo Community, along Sapele Road, Phase 5, Obareti Community, along Sapele Road, Head Office, Comfort Plaza, A4, HT, off Adesua Road, GRA, Benin City. Call 0815-171-1111. Genesis Tutorials, Science, Art, and Social Sciences for JAM, SSC exams, located at Uselu, opposite Redeemed Church, Sapele Road by Ajib, Ipoba Hill, opposite Keystone Bank, Sokomba Road by First Junction, Siloko Road, at Ogola Junction by the traffic light at an Ekenwa Road. For details, call 0806-515-8238. Supported by Jonasco Technical Enterprise, located at number 33, Owa Junction, Upper Mission Extension, Ute Quarters, close to Temboga Market, Benin City. Dealers in bulletproof doors, soundproof doors, stainless handrails, stainless gates, and carports.
Nament Energy Limited, 51 Akenzwa Street, near Olivia Waters, Benin City, for sales of cooking gas and cylinders.
Prophet Goldwater Agawanyi, Senior Pastor, Floodgate of Heaven International Ministries, second turn by your right, off Chief Francis Edo Sage Street, off Limit Road, Ugbo Village Road, GRA, Benin City. Apostle Dr. Favor Osazua, Lead Pastor, Divine Transformation Christian Worship Center Incorporated, City of Praise, Idugboy Street, by Second Power Line, Oluku, or through Pastor Road, Okun, Benin City. Mother Care Shop, Mama Oyoyo, for genuine baby things at affordable price. Head Office, 130, Upper Forestry Road, Branch Office, 28, New Lagos Road, Benin City. Agom Industries Limited, manufacturers of aluminium products such as long span roofing sheet, step tile, Metcopo, aluminium windows and doors, opposite Oluku Primary School by ITV Radio Communication Village near Oluku Junction, Benin City. Atlantic Luxury Hotel and Events, for lodging and accommodation, restaurant, exquisite bar, event center, internet facilities. Your comfort, our priority. At number 5, Chief S.A. Ohamo Street, before 7-Up Bottling Company, Igwosa, and number 5, Obaze Street, off Ompre Road, behind Agen Aluminium, Evomore, Benin City.
Christmas Igbadun!
Igbadun Repete!
Okay, thanks again for staying with us on the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. Of course, we're looking at the challenge of governance and aspirations for 2023 presidential elections, or general elections, if you like. Well, Dave Umahi has joined the ruling APC. I'm sure in the days to come, many more people will join the ruling party. But looking at this holistically, what does this portend for Nigeria as a country against the background there are perennial problems that needs urgent attention? I mean, within the week, the fight, so to speak, or war of words between cable news network, CNN, and the federal government came to the fore over initial denial by the government on the Lekki shootings, and CNN coming up with a very, very detailed investigative report on how that event went down.
Well, I think we do not have to waste time and energy discussing Engineer David Umahi's defection from PDP to APC is waste of time. APC is not a political party. Go and check the background of APC. APC was formed by 4 political parties, and they have their interests. The PDP is a strong political party, and that is what they should understand. For goodness sake, they should not just think that one of the groups of APC, the parties that form APC, will give way to another group within APC when it comes to the manipulations for 2023. They could be making big mistakes. Well, in politics, there are alliances of interests, of actors, of personalities, other individuals, and of course, their supporters. There are alliances. That we cannot take away. But for goodness sake, let us not spend time discussing individuals who do not have the interests of their people, of the nation at heart. Comrade Dosako did mention something about the private sector when he was talking about governance. There are three categories or groups responsible for governance. First, the state. The state, for example, takes responsibility for security, for welfare, and for liberty of the citizens. The issue of welfare, of course, concerns the social sector like roads, health, education. We'll come to that. Then the private sector. The private sector is an important group in the governance process. If you go to advanced countries of the world today, the United States, is it Germany, is it Japan? The private sector, for example, contributes so much money to the economy and GDP of Japan than even the government itself, of course. And it creates jobs for the people and they are happy. Then, of course, the third group is the civil society. He belongs to the civil society. And for a long time, the civil society in Nigeria, they've been involved in advocacy programs. Just recently, they have shifted base to engagements between government and the citizens. In other words, on your budget for 2021, you have roads that are going to construct, is it not? Either road construction, road reconstruction, road rehabilitation, dualization of road, expressway, like he said, between Benin, for example, and Ekpoma, and Auchi, and Okene, and Abuja. I remember as early as 2000, I was still out of this country. I heard about contracts awarded for those roads. Okay. And the contracts are still being awarded and rewarded and rewarded for 20 years. Yet there's nothing happening there. So our concern is not politicians who do not take the interest of the people. Look, somebody said, I think I have the evidence myself, it's from the social media, that he is prepared to die fighting for the interest of the common people, the masses of this country, and that politicians should be ready to bury themselves in the second phase of NSAS. They are coming up for them. Let us not make any mistake. The first phase of NSAS protest will just signal of what to expect in the next years to come. The youth already know that they have the power, they can mobilize, and the politicians will run away.
Okay. Let me get Comrade. Just lap up on that a little bit, because that seems to give a semblance of perhaps what is really needed to jumpstart things in the right direction in changing the narratives. People say a major fallout of the NSAS on the positive side is the fact that people are really an awake reality of the direction in which the country was headed. And what I would like to know, some things have happened between that time and now. Can you lap up on that in just 2 minutes before
yes,
open us to the line?
You see, the youths have always understood that they have power. What has happened is that Nigeria is a unique place. We are not docile, but we are very resilient. We are very forgiving. We are very patient. We embrace the principle of long suffering as espoused in scripture. What played out is a common balance that if dirty too much for soup, even blind man will become aware. That's what happened. The young people of Nigeria were pushed to the wall. But let me just mention this. The government had an opportunity to prevent further disaster. It started well by asking for judicial panels to be set up across the state. But you don't give something with the left hand and take it away with the right. While judicial panels are sitting, government went ahead to begin to freeze accounts of individuals who were perceived to have either participated or controlled that protest. That's one. Two, targeted arrests have been made of individuals who have not been accused of any other offense other than they have associated with the NSAS protest. That is a major faux pas on the part of government, and it will come haunting them. But let me just mention this. They had an opportunity to engage in Nigerian youth. They had this opportunity to put things on the table and build channels of discussions. 1. 2, to interrogate the issues beyond NSAS, beyond the police. What are the issues that have brought the youths to the streets, to the extent that many of them were willing to lay down their lives? They were unwilling to go back into their houses. What were these issues? How do we resolve them? Government needed to display some form of openness and accountability. That they have not done. Instead, what I sense government doing is that when next they come, we'll be prepared for them. Let me sound a note of warning. You cannot be prepared for them. What is the total size of the military in this country? What is the total size of the entire security amalgam? It takes the youths of only one local government to overrun them, for youths who are willing to put down their lives. And what I saw in the last protest were youths who didn't care at all, who were dancing in the presence, in the full face of threats to unleash bullets into them. Those were the young people of Nigeria that I saw. So what government needed to do was to do far-reaching interrogation of the issues involved. And the issues are very clear, sir. If in the Nigerian society today, and this is a product of research, because you see, when civil society does this research and we present it to government, they think we don't know what we are doing. Recently, the Niger Delta Dialogue, and I chaired the state PAC of the Niger Delta Dialogue. We did a research. And we presented that research to the Speaker of the House of Assembly, identifying the causatives for insecurity. We identified the different locales where insecurity is rife. We submitted, and we are submitting it to the Nigerian police in the coming weeks. We will submit it to the executive. So the point I'm making is that when you do this research, you will see why. In Nigeria today, if you combine all the higher institutions, from monotechnics, polytechnics, university, colleges of education, Nigeria graduates over 320,000 students into the employment market.
Annually. Let me take this call. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Cannot employ.
What's your name, caller?
My name is James from Kaduna.
James, thank you for joining us on Politics Today. How is Kaduna today?
We thank God, Hamatan.
All right, Amatan, well, we'll just pray that it gets here as fast as possible. It's still very hot and sunny here. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, my brothers in the studio there.
God bless you.
Good morning.
Bless you.
I am from Agenebode,
Okay.
but residing in Kaduna.
Okay.
What you are saying there, in fact, I if there is way to swallow the television itself, I should have done it. Because what is happening is just what you are saying. No, here in the north, whenever election comes, you see the southerners will be on the middle playing ball. While the northerners will lead like from Obasakoba down to this thing, what they call it, right to very far place, and then we go and vote with them, we check. Why our people will be large. And the point that they working there for them. We are getting on industry. They are not going to what they want, and they are doing what is right to themselves. And we never know about this. These people are stand out to do all these things when they want to cause confusion, when they want to remove or not. Was it not the southern that was you? All these things that is happening in this country, tell me the one that the northerner come up to stand. They will use the southerner. They don't push the country in there. They will be into the Adamazu. I need to say more to Salam. How can you have market? Let revenue to brother southerner. And if he didn't pay the people now, so who is educated? He has that. Let's say the limit. People can talk to our people so we that we pay
All right, I want to thank you. So we can give the opportunity to other people to contribute. Thank you for your views. We appreciate. Okay. Okay, our first caller there, joining us from Kaduna State. Yes. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program. Tell us your name and where you're calling.
Is Open Secret, the radio professor and the ASA ambassador to the whole world.
Okay, Open Secret, please go ahead.
Yes, I want to quickly to Bernard Bukajiri. When I grew up, I was like this. I heard that when I died, then I was going to do that to
Okay.
So I want to say that when I have our country, who will be speaking out like this, I think we'll be better off.
Okay.
You see, we are in this part of the country, and they are supposed to be happening, they keep quiet, whether they have their reasons, they are doing okay, and we are just accepting time. People are writing appeal. Our people will understand all these things. Our people will not be now you know. Let me make sure people that die. Now you know. And as now you know cannot solve it any longer.
Okay, so Open Secret, I want to thank you for your contribution. Let me take another call. Yes.
Yes. You cannot have it. We have everything. I know those comments along the the Bataria there and the plus of this to have. Everybody pretending.
Okay, let's take more to wrap. Electoral,
morning, Mr. Landy.
Good morning.
I want to share the studio and also Professor Sabelo.
Okay.
So just done sound the question with Chelsea. That's why we get shapes of socialism. It's like fishing mind. Everything we have to do is the north and the south. In fact, when it comes to we've been our complicated, so each nice to be. I know we're doing that.
Okay.
If you look at, we have seen the north, maybe we have little bit and the north and all of this. But when it comes to actually talking about the nation's policy, they are one. And that is what we should realize. And we in the south here, we have a way of kind of dividing ourselves. And that is playing well for us. Look at 2023 now. I know the calculation already on ground now. The northern, they already find a way to make sure that the power also swings back to the side in a time.
Okay.
So please, I think what we should be doing is that we should try as much as possible to ensure that we organize our affairs.
Okay.
Look at the right time, you know,
thank you.
How many people in the south and genuinely the guy was appealed from the courts.
All right, thank you. Our time is up. Just one last word there, gentlemen, before we call it a wrap. 2023 in view. Yeah.
Well, I think my conclusion here today is that politicians should be committed to development agenda in their states, in the country, local governments. That commitment should be followed with high performance in terms of delivery, dividends of democracy to the people.
Okay, they are comrades.
Just as politics is local, government and governance should be local. I want to appeal to Edo people, because that's now my concern. I don't know what will happen to Nigeria tomorrow. I want to appeal to Edo people and the government of Edo State to look inwards. God has blessed us locally. We need to harness all the opportunities, the vibrancy of young people, the natural resources that God has blessed us with, the intelligence that God has blessed us. Let's harness it to make Edo a reference point in the Committee of States in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. That's where we draw the curtains on the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. I want to say big thanks to our panelists, Professor Benson Osadola, thank you. Comrade Austin Osakwe, thank you. And all our callers across the country. Well, if you made the effort to call, you couldn't go through. Be sure to join us next time. Try it next time. I'm sure you'll be able to get through to be part of the program. I want to say big thanks to all our crew members. My name is Sonny Duke Okoson. Thank you for staying with us. Have a great weekend.
This is ITV, certainly the best.